Right. So I welcome you all for today's webinar series. And it is a series of lectures. It is a series of 14 lectures, right? So we'll be covering all the methods we have learned till now. It is an approach. It is just a effort to see things from a system point of view. Till now, we used to do it from a symptomatic approach. We used to work out individualistic symptoms. We try to individualize the symptoms. As we studied in college, it was location, sensation, modalities, and concomitants. But from there, we evolved further as we went with Dr. Kent. We started adding more mental generals. We started adding more mentals. So as we go further, each and every master has given their own contribution. So this is a tribute to all the masters. This is a tribute, a heartfelt, humble tribute to all the masters who have contributed to this journey. So we cannot pinpoint that we have learned from this master. It is a contribution of every master, right? Dr. Boeninnghausen, he gave the doctrine of grand generalization. So we are building up on that further. What was said by Dr. Boeninnghausen, that if we are not able to get that complete symptom in one particular area, like location, sensation, modality, and concomitant in one area, if we get something like concomitant in other complaint other than the chief complaint, so we can take it as a whole and make it a complete general symptom. So we are building on that only, the doctrine of grand generalization. We are building up on that. So, and I love your spirit of learning, and I'm truly, truly humbled by your interest in my learnings and your enthusiasm. It takes me further in this spirit of teaching and learning. So I'm not here to teach. I just share my humble experiences, which even I have learned many a times. I have done mistake many a times. I have learned from my mistakes. So this is a journey we'll be doing together, uh, right? So I'll be there assisting you all in any problems you have further. So now, right. So this is evolve level 1. We'll be integrating all the methods which I know till date, and I'll be introducing few lectures of each so that we can go further. So this is Evolve series, and today we'll be doing lecture 1, which is the sensation. We'll be starting with the basics of sensation method. So this is about my institute here. I'm teaching here in Raipur since 2005, and my institute's name is Research Institute of Classical Homeopathy, which we like to call as RICH. So we are enriched in experiences. That is our punchline, that we just share our experiences and we enrich with experiences. So with that journey of Research Institute of Classical Homeopathy, I've been teaching since 15, 16, 17 years. And gradually, when we built up on the systems, we are blessed to have learned from Dr. Sankaran the sensation method that really, really opened up so many avenues of learning. I'll share with you all the details of sensation method, you will see that how we come to deep levels. That was the first time where levels of healing was introduced. So with these levels of healing, we reach a state which we call as zero state, which I love to call as a zero state, when we and the patient travel together in the unknown zone. As you all know, in homeopathy, what we do is we go to the unknown zone, we individualize each and every case. We are after the peculiarities, the rare, peculiarities of the case. So where this peculiarity is coming will be very clear. We used to learn this from our organon that we have to go for PQRS symptoms. So with sensation method, we could clearly see where this peculiarity is coming from. It means the source of the remedy. So this journey from the symptom to source of the journey was beautifully explained with the sensation method. And in that zero state, when we are in that unknown zone, how the information pours in, it opened up many aspects or many avenues for further healing. So I have trained myself in many modalities of healing, and like the pranic healing, it is, we have taken symptoms to the energy, to the pattern. So there are many holistic sciences which talk about patterns. So I have even studied quantum healing. I have this sensation method has taken us to the quantum aspects of healings. So sometimes what happens ki when you are in that zone, zero state, which you travel together, there is a moment where the patient gets the information that how he has to take the life. So this has opened up portals for counseling also, where the patient gets his own answers. So we connect the patients or the person sitting in front of to himself, to his own innermost being. And instead of answering his questions, he starts getting his own answers. So the healing begins then and there in the process of the case taking or case witnessing. We don't take a case, we witness a case. So when you will sit with this, you know, with this intention of just witnessing a case, you will go deeper into the case. So leave all your anxieties aside, like it's just the intention which matters. If I know you all are here because you have that intention to heal the patient and you are ready to dedicate your lives for that. So we'll go further in this journey. And this is my mantra, which is given to my spiritual mentor. This is, I transform lives by my power to surrender. So there is a point in our practice where we have to surrender ourselves to a bigger whole. It is beyond our knowledge. We are here to go beyond our knowledge, because the knowledge is only this much. There is a South Indian saying that what I know is only a fist and what I don't know is rest of the universe. So even if I learn, I maybe my fist is big, a bit bigger in 30 years, but it will get only this bigger. But what about the rest of the universe, which we don't know? So that is we have to fathom those unknown places in unknown realms in our practice too. And the only way you can learn from that unknown is by surrender. So this is my mantra of my life, which is given to me by my mentor. He's a spiritual mentor. I transform lives by my power to surrender. Just surrender to that field. There is a field which is created when you are in, a patient is in front of you and you are listening or witnessing the journey the patient does in himself. He goes within himself. When we ask the questions, what is the motto of case taking? We take the patient deep into his own being. That is where even the person in front of us starts witnessing his own being without any prejudice. And even our master has given us the aphorism that we have to be unprejudiced observers. So we have to, at a point, we have to keep ourselves also aside from this case taking, and we have to just witness the case. And this process of witnessing, this process of being an unprejudiced observer is also where we need to work on ourselves. So that is what we say, is that we heal ourselves in the process. We are here not to heal others, but we are here, the bigger picture, when you see, we are here to heal ourselves, right? So just be having all these bigger perspective of healing with us, we are going to start this journey today. So this is aphorism 9. In the healthy state of mind, in the healthy condition of the man, the spiritual vital force, the autocracy, the dynamism that animates the material body, organism, rules with unbounded sway and retains all the parts of organism in admirable, harmonious, vital operation as regards to both sensations and functions so that our indwelling, reason gifted mind can freely employ this living, healthy instrument for higher purposes of existence. So you see how beautifully Dr. Hahnemann has written this long back, even before the dawn of sensation method, that what is the harmony is as regards to both sensations and functions. So this is not very new thing. We are taking everything from our basics, from our organon. We are not leaving our organon behind. We are just taking the understanding of organon ahead with us, and we are making it at par with whatever we see right now in our era. So the vital operation, the vital force, the autocracy which is ruling our body, it is a force which is a dynamic force. It is beyond mind and body, right? So we have to understand that we are not at all leaving our basics behind. We are just taking everything with us. I'll have to stop. So these sensations which are important, we have to now we are trying to understand these sensations with the sensation method, which is already mentioned in the organon. So now this is aphorism 11. When a person falls ill, it is not only this spiritual, self-acting, automatic vital force everywhere present in this organism that is primarily deranged by the dynamic influence upon it of a morbific agent inimical to life. It is the only vital principle deranged to such an abnormal state that one can't furnish the organism with its disagreeable sensation and incline it to irregular processes, which we call as disease. So as for the power invisible to itself and only cognizable by its effects on the organism, its morbid derangement only makes itself known by the manifestation of disease in sensations and functions. Again, what we see, again, we are seeing that the morbific manifestation of the disease is in the form of sensations and functions of those parts of the organism exposed to the senses of the observer and the physicians. That means by morbid symptoms, and in no other way can it make itself known. So what we are seeing again here, we are again being taught of, we are again being told of these sensations and functions. So long before there is a functional derangement in our bodies, long before that, there is a change at the level of sensations, and these sensations can be perceived only by the patient long before he is into the realm of the disease. So this is aphorism 11, which again states about the sensation and functions. So you have to take care in mind, you have to see that we are not at all doing something new, or we are not going against what our master had written in our organon, right? So we are taking what he has taught ahead. It is just understanding all this in a deeper way. So now when we started, like we were trained to see the mental generals as well as physical generals. But then there was again a school of thought that, we are physical practitioners, and then the classical homeopaths were there who practiced from the mental level. So there was always, like we practiced from the physical aspects, and there were doctors who said, there were homeopaths who said that we give importance more to the mental generals. So there was always a controversy, you can say, or a difference of opinion, or different paths we used to take. But what is interesting is with the common sensation method, we see that there is a common sensation which is running at the level beyond mind and body. And this is the beauty of sensation method, that we go in the case taking, we go to a level from where we can see the vital force is speaking the same language at the level of mind and body. Can you get it? We go to a level, we have levels of healing which are to be worked on, and we come to a level where we see that the same thing is being experienced at the same time in the moment, at the physical level and the mental level, as if the body is translating the similar sensations, similar words, and similar experiences same at the moment, in the moment, simultaneously at the level of mind and body. And this is very beautiful when we see in the cases. So there is a common level where there is a common sensation which comes together. Everything comes together at that point. And that is what we called as a vital sensation. It is not a local sensation. Like if there is an ulcer, what we expect throbbing, we expect burning, we expect all the five symptoms of dolor we used to see in belladonna. So it is different from a local sensation. This is a vital sensation because it is coming from a level 5. Next lecture we'll be doing on levels. So this is coming from a deeper level, and everything is expressed at the level of mind body. It is, that something deep within is being projected in two different keys, which is mind and body, but it is the same thread. Like in Allen's keynote, we have a red line symptom coming up. There is a red line thing which comes through and through at the level of symptoms. So this is again something deeper which is coming through and through from a level which is deeper than what we used to see before. So what we see here is again logic and experience. When we take a case, initially the symptoms, they come from logical mind. I think it is maybe because of I eat something in the morning. It is maybe I went into the sun. So what we see that there is a linear logical thinking which will give you the case in a case. So reasoning, and they have, and as we all know that these logical intellectual symptoms, they are of little relevance in homeopathy. So what we are taught is we have to go for PQRS symptoms, means which do not connect logically, right? We have to see that there is something illogical which makes it characteristics, and that is how we work on peculiar, rare, and queer symptoms. So if there is burning in an abscess, or if there is a throbbing in an abscess, we just don't give it importance until and unless it becomes qualified. So we have to take those qualified symptoms rather than the common symptoms. So logical, linear thinking, intellectual thinking, reasoning, they have little relevance in homeopathy. It helps to establish diagnosis. To some extent, it helps to establish a diagnosis from the level of the disease, but not from the perspective of the remedy. Up to some point, the patient's story makes sense, but we cannot say absolutely that it's the patient's story which is relevant. We have to give some importance to patient's story, but there is something beyond the story which needs to be worked on. And what is that? We'll see in this. So this is the logic, and the other part is the experience. When we go with homeopathy, what we do, when we go with sensation method, we just ask, how do you experience this? Like it's an ulcer, if it is a migraine. So we will not take migraine as the symptom. We say, how do you experience this migraine? And then it will come. Recently, I got a lady, she says, as if, a tight cloth has been tied on my head, as if you tie something tight on your head, and then there comes to a point in that pressure that you're not able to think. And that is what is happening to me. I'm not able to think nowadays, and because of that, I'm not in the moment. So what we saw that in her migraine was this peculiarity which was coming from something deeper, right? So it is the experience of the migraine, how she experiences that migraine with the five senses. So once we are past the patient's external reality and access the deeper and very, very individual core, all senses, they start fading. What emerges, when you go beyond this time, we see it's in the migraine, but gradually what we'll see that, it's coming, the same sensation of being tied, it comes into the dreams, it comes into the movies, it comes in the fantasies, it comes in the hobbies, everything about this tide, you can see some glimpse in all the aspects. And then what happens, this superficial tying, it goes away and we see a pattern which is emerging. And these patterns are unique patterns, they are strange, and these are why the peculiarity and complete absurd perception of the world comes around. I'll show you an example how these absurdities, or how these absurd perception of the world or absurd perception of your own stories, they are because of the pattern which you're carrying within you. So now this is the point here where the story stops making much sense, because everything is related to the pattern. So initially we have symptoms, then we have emotions, we have stories, and we understand because of the divorce, the child is so upset because of the divorce of the person, but divorce of the parents. But gradually when we go deeper into the experience, this divorce, and it doesn't matter, it is basically the perception of the child which is being projected on the divorce, on the external reality. So gradually what we see that it's only about the patterns, patterns start emerging. So in homeopathy, what is more important than what should have been? Like what we see that we have so many symptoms in fever, like, fever, heat during, fever, chill during. So their peculiarities we see, like in heat and chill, we see what is the difference between the other patients, what is the peculiarity. So what should have been in this case is not important. What is more important, right? We don't have to rationalize the symptoms. And when we are able to rationalize those symptoms, then it doesn't make sense. It is only symptoms which we are not able to rationalize. With your rational minds, you can't make sense out of it, that this doesn't make any sense, this is totally absurd, how is this possible? So this is not important. What we have to do is we have to take these peculiarities, what is, rather than what should be. So it is at a point, even your left brain, which is the logical mind, should be stopped. You should be in the moment with the patient going on with his experiencing, stopping your rational mind, which is your left brain, for a while. It doesn't mean that you have to totally stop there. There will be some points when you will be noting down the facts by your left brain, but the experience of going deeper with the patient is your right brain. That is the artistic mind. And that is why homeopathy is called as a science and an art. So where we have to deal with the scientific aspects of the scientific aspect of homeopathy, we have to use our left brain. And when we have to go with the artistic phase of homeopathy or case taking, we use our right brain. So we have to go with our own right and left brain, means logical and artistic mind. And that is how we will be able to work with this methods and homeopathy, which is art and a science. Now the level of energy, what we see in patients is gradually when you go deeper, the symptoms, the stories, you'll just leave behind those stories, and what emerges is only these patterns. So when we see the spiral, like even when you see these ripples, they are not clear outside. And as we go deeper into the essence or core of the patient, same as the ripples, they are clearest in the center. So when we leave these behind, when we start leaving the circumference or the periphery behind, when we start coming, we see clearly, we start seeing something clearly, and that is what runs through and through in the case. That we'll be seeing in all our cases from henceforth, the level of energy, we see there is something beyond this pattern, energy is being seen. We see some energy, and that is shown by the patient's gestures. Like recently we saw a case in which the person was again and again he was doing this. He was doing this. Whenever I asked the question and he was so excited to speak, he'll come up with this. So this is clearly something of his energy is being seen. So we have to translate these energies to some patterns in nature which resonate with something in nature, and that can be either plant, mineral, or animal. These are how we work out the kingdoms. So this is the level where the vital force is expressing itself clearly. What is this? Where this is coming from? This is mind or body? This is not mind or body. This symptom again and again, it was a case of a reptile, and reptiles flicker their tongues like this. So at least 25 to 30 times in that case, the patient came with this while talking. So this tongue, this coming out, it is directly an energy pattern which is similar to a reptile, and it is a pattern, or it is coming directly from the source. So this is the level of vital force itself. So at this level, we find patterns which make absolutely no sense, but it is this energy which crystallizes directly at the level of nervous system, and it is experienced as a sensation which is beyond a local sensation. So this is a vital sensation which we translate into our energy remedies. So I'll be giving all these examples. Maybe you don't understand this right now because you have not seen a case. Those who are new to sensation method, maybe because you have not seen some cases, but when I'll show you all the cases, you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. So energy and the sensation at the core of the organism can be found underlying every delusion and the dream of the patient, the world of nonsense, his inner truth, his vital disturbance. So because these energies and patterns are not human, they are non-human specific. Like yesterday also I got a case, he said that my husband had planned that he will beat me. So he just, he chose a time when nobody was around in my vicinity or in my surroundings, and he just locked the door. He had made sure that the child was not at home. So it was his planning, and he took all his revenge and he took out all his venom on me. So now what is this? What we hear when she's talking about, there is a human story of marital conflict, of domestic violence. That is a story. So that absolutely makes some sense to the point. But we see that there is some non-human specific being intertwined. What is this venom? What is this planning? What is, he's too smart, he's too cunning, he's too revengeful. My husband was very vindictive. He's very this. So these words, what we see is the non-human song, which we called as the other song. In all humans, what is that peculiarity, or where that peculiarity is coming? From where the nonsense is coming? Because we all are tainted with an energy which is not human, which is not ours. And that is what makes us diseased when it is not expressed in places where it needs to be expressed, right? So that is the driving force of a human. So we have to take this non-human story, कि उसने ना पूरा मेरे से बदला ले लिया. वो जब भी बात करता था तो ऐसे लगता था कि वेनम ही निकल रहा है, उसके अंदर से जहर ही निकल रहा है. So where these words are coming from? So when you separate, one is human story and then other is non-human story. The non-human specific words, when you dot out these, when you mark out these, you will see that this non-human specific things will give you a pattern, and that pattern was similar to reptiles, as you can make it, and it was a snake. It was a snake remedy. And even before she came to the clinic, when she took an appointment, the way she talked to me, I could understand it's an animal, because the energy, आपको बताया तो था, I won't be able to make it tomorrow. I don't have a car. So I told her, you see, you have taken an appointment one, you can't tell me at 12:30 that you're not able to make it because that slot is booked for you. So the way she answered, it was not even she talked to me on phone, the way she texted back, you could feel that energy, that she is an animal. I have told you now, I don't have a car. I didn't ask you, you have a car or you are a two-wheeler, but I want, she could have put it very softly also, but that energy came through. And just by that text, I could understand that this is a animal case. And when she came, it was confirmed. So whatever information you get, the case taking starts the time when they take an appointment from you. But what you have to do, you don't have to get biased that, the animal remedy is coming. You just keep this observation aside in your clinic, just underline it and take a case with unprejudiced mind and see what you observed even before the patient was in your clinic, does it match and how it is matching. So now this world of nonsense, this inner truth is a vital disturbance, and that is why we have to go for PQRS. So this is the energy and the sensation. So the inner world, whatever is so peculiar that even while talking, the patient knows that this is very peculiar and this is not in sync with what he should be. He is a human, he should be that. So many a times patients will have words on their mouth but they'll not speak up because that is cut short by the logical mind. And we try to conceal our real inner story by using words, and that is how we get misled in the case taking and we don't come to the real case. So you have to learn to remove this garb of intellect and logical and reasoning, because if the disease pattern within you is not at all controlled or not at all revealed by the intellect, it has to go beyond the wheels of intellect. It is so much of a secret that when revealed, it amazes the physician and the patient alike. So when you take them deeper in the case, even at a point, the patient realizes that now he's talking, even they say, they'll smile. They will have this expression. Did I say that? I don't know from where it is coming, doctor, but this is it. So you just have to tell them, don't think, just go on with the flow. You have to try and see that the intellect doesn't censor what is coming from within. So when you understand all this, you'll be able to take a beautiful case. The case taking is very important because it is an artistic way. We are digging into the psyche of a human. So it is not logical. Like when we started initially our practice, or when we were taught in examinations, आपको गुस्सा आता है? Are you angry? कितना गुस्सा आता है? 1, 2, 3 ज्यादा आता है, कम आता है, उससे ज्यादा आता है. तो we used to write 1, 2, and 3. So no, I don't get anger. I don't get angry, they'll say. But while saying that also, you can see a flicker of anger. Like I was talking about a case when I was teaching my students recently, or I think in the last webinar, we have seen the case of Naxwamika. No, I was sent by my wife and I've come to you because my wife has sent me and give me the medicine. And we wanted the medicine. He was just, don't ask me these stupid questions. I'm not here for that. So I couldn't go further in the case, and only thing which I could get was this anger, the flicker of anger. The more I questioned him, like I could only ask him 2, 3 questions because his anger, then I didn't have much to prescribe on. He just came for bots and his tone was, my wife has sent me to you and I want medicine for this what. Then we have our own protocol. We follow that questioning, and he couldn't at all understand how does it relate to this. So he said, you are asking me questions like a CID and that doesn't make sense. So he had that flicker of anger, right? So you have to see these anger, from where it is coming, how it is coming, what is the pattern of that anger. So logically, this anger should not be there. When you are coming to a doctor, you should be open to whatever is the mode, because we try to explain it also to our patients. And we also tell our patients to refer other patients, at least prepare them. So this anger was something which we have to see where it is coming from and what is the underlying thing behind that anger. So this inner world, we conceal it, like we give logical reasoning that I just throw things, you know. Then he says, "Nee, nee, I don't do it. Normally, I don't do it. But sometimes when you're triggered again, again, when you're poked again and again, then this anger comes up." Like one lady also, she says, "I have that anger for my parents. I want to say something. I just want to spurt out in the moment for my father. But I realize he's 80 years old, you know. Sometimes if I talk in the way I talk with people, or when I spurt out, or when I snap out, I do know that maybe he sleeps at night and he doesn't wake up. I won't get time to say sorry also. But I don't know, something just, I just vomit out something." She says, "I just vomit out something. I want to vomit out something which is here, which I can neither swallow nor digest, nor it, you know, like it cannot go inside." So this pattern of this again is coming from some non-human thing, that I'm neither able to swallow nor able to vomit. So it's here, it takes time to go. So this was a pattern of a python, and the remedy given was python, because python normally swallows the prey on a very big preys, because of their way they engulf it, and then it takes time for them, you know, to literally gulp it down. So it's that prey, even they are deformed when that big prey is inside them, so they are not able to vomit it out, neither take it inside. So this pattern came out while she was talking. The story was very human. It was her anger and her father, but how she experiences that anger and the words she gives while talking about that anger are non human specific. They are giving me a pattern or something in nature, and that something was python, right? So the way she was talking, that the the pattern coming, it was not logical, it doesn't have reason. The anger could have the reasoning, but the way that anger was portrayed, the words which were used, absolutely they did not make. So it is so much of a secret that when revealed, it amazes the physician and the patient alike. It is as if a python is speaking through the patient, you know. Everything about her was, she says, "Do you think I don't like fake people, doctor? I don't like fake people." And then after coming to the depth of the case, she says, "Am I being fake? Am I being fake? Do you think, doctor, I'm faking my love for my sister? I really don't like her, but I took her for the shopping also. So do you think I'm being fake?" Then I asked her, "Ki, what is being fake?" Because we know that being fake is not human, right? Although humans do that because of the energy they have within him. She says, I asked her, "What is faking? Can you give me an example? Just keep everything aside and just talk about this word faking." She says, like, you know, whenever we hug somebody, we embrace. Outwardly, I'm showing my love for my sister, but inwardly, I want to hug her so tight that she feels that suffocation, because I have that anger within. So, what is she talking here? She says, "I hug her so tightly, you know. Outwardly, I'm supposed to show my love. I'm showing my love. But within, my experience of hugging her is I really want to crush her to death, man, because of that anger. Since childhood, my sister has been getting more attention than me. Even she has got a good husband, and I have been divorced twice. So this, what she's talking, you know, hug so tightly that she's not able to breathe. Again, this is something of a something in nature which tightens, and then suffocates you. And this is again a python. So what we see, there is a story of this lady. She's talking about her love and her sibling rivalry, which is absolutely normal in human story. But the pattern she's talking about in that story is non-human. And that is how we have to learn to differentiate the human story and the non-human specific, which is a pattern which resonates with something in nature, which can be either plant, mineral, or animal, right? So the aim of case taking is to gain access into this inner secret, this inner turmoil of the patient, and find a remedy to match it. So the chief complaint is the anger. Now, where we see this energy, what we see is the best place to begin our quest for this vital disturbance is the chief complaint of the patient. At the core of every individual is a complete nonsense, which is the inner truth, and that is the disease. This inner nonsense is non-human specific. If we pay attention to the energy in the case, we'll realize that this pattern is similar to plant, animal, or mineral source in nature, right? So this is what I gave an example, like, how she has that anger. In that, the chief complaint was anger itself, in which she said कि मैम जब मैं गुस्सा होती हूँ ना तो मैं कुछ भी बोल देती हूँ और मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि मैं कितना जहर उगल रही हूँ. तो in the chief complaint itself she talked about जहर उगल रही हूँ, and as we went further, we saw this, and even in her dreams she had these dreams of snakes which were coiling against something. So we see everything crystallizes in the chief complaint. Like if we take a case of liver pain, or if we take, sometimes, we take a case of liver cirrhosis, then if we ask the experience of the pain, the patient says that I feel as if I'm being stabbed, and there is a gesture. I feel stabbed. I feel that, some knife is digging. So when we take this case further, what we see is he has the dreams where he's being stabbed, and he watches movies where he's sensitive to somebody being stabbed in nature, in the movie. So what we see is gradually the symptoms are going away, the liver is gone, the emotions are gone, and what we see is something being stabbed. And then we further see what is this stabbed is. So we start seeing a pattern of being stabbed, and then we have to go further and we see from where this stabbing is coming. This stabbing itself is, we don't have to take our minds in this case. Ki stab kahan se aaya hoga? Something in nature we may know is having this kind of stabbing thing. Something from Materia Medica will take us to stabbing pains, but this won't help us. We have to go further and we have to establish a pattern, and then we have to see the further totality. So the level from which the totality is also taken is gone beyond. Initially, the totality was only at the level of symptoms. Now we are seeing the person and individual as a whole. So now, where do we see the vital sensation? We see it in the experience of the chief complaints. It is not only the migraine, how a person experiences the migraine, how a person experiences the pain in abdomen. When we ask how we get this flavor of the words, it is as if. We have a book of Dr. H.A. Roberts, Sensations as If. So this work was done long before we have started this sensation method. So it is the experience of the physical complaints which we confirm or we see in other aspects. We see in the emotions, mind aspects, we see it in the fears, we see it in the dreams, we see it in the hobbies, we see it in the interests, we see it in the lifestyle. So what lifestyle, how will lifestyle give us a clue in such cases? Like if we have a case of reptilia, he will say that, I sleep a lot, I sleep like a log. वो ना क्या मैं खाता हूँ ना, जैसे हो जाता हूँ, जैसे अजगर होता है ना, मैं अजगर जैसे सो जाता हूँ, मैं उठता ही नहीं हूँ कई दिन तक. 24 घंटे भी मेरे को बोलोगे ना, I'll just sleep for 24 hours. So there will be a connection of, like I have even heard patients say कि I like to hibernate. Even they'll use this word, I like to hibernate. So you have to go in, just by saying that word, it doesn't mean आपको jump करना है, अरे hibernate बोला तो reptile है. What is the experience? जब आप करते हो, क्यों करते हो? What is your experience? How do you experience that hibernation? What is the time? So going into their lifestyle will also give you some clue about their sensation. So everything about what a person does is his sensation. Every aspect of him is a sensation. How is he experiencing his life is a sensation. So vital sensation is expressed through hand gestures, like I told you. Like recently also I had a case in which there was a sibling rivalry was there. So the sister, she was registered for atopic dermatitis, and only thing she was worried was she did not like her brother coming from here and then and hitting her. hitting her. So the whole story was about that sibling rivalry, and the sister who was suffering from atopic dermatitis, talking about her brother. So her mother wanted that even her brother should be counseled, and so that this girl heals faster. So the brother came for his counseling. He came for the sister, and what he said, "Ma'am, वो तो common है ना, भाई बहन का चलते रहता है ना. It is not a big deal. But the way she reacts, the way my sister reacts is very different." I asked how she reacts. She says, "I just hit her like a brother. But she feels like that ऐसे मेरे अंदर से एक जानवर निकल के ना उसको attack कर रहा है." So now this gesture, is expressed through his body and hand. So this is not mind and body. This is beyond mind and body. It's as if she says she feels as if मेरे अंदर से जानवर उतर के उसको attack कर रहा है. So this gestures is how he experiences his life, or how he thinks his sister is experiencing what he does to her. So now, is it the sister or the person himself who is experiencing this energy? So this is expressed through hand gestures, some expressed in delusions and some expressed as patterns or movements. So when he said that as if an animal is attacking, this is at the level, this can be at the level of delusion, है ना, कि जैसे कोई जानवर निकल रहा है. लेकिन when it is shown with these gestures, then it becomes important. If he just says as if जानवर है, वो तो ऐसे करती है जैसे किसी ने जानवर नहीं अटैक किया, so that doesn't make, that can be at the delusion level, right? But when he's coming up with this gesture, it means that energy pattern is there. Then you have to make more efforts to see what is this pattern. Getting? So now these patterns seem to represent an energy. So energy is deeper than sensation. This is what we'll see again in next lecture. So now the sensation approach is based on a premise that deep inside us, each individual, is a specific and distinct energy that shapes who we are. So the flavor of our personality, like we are different. Even two twin brothers cannot be same. Even two twin sisters also cannot be same. So this flavor of uniqueness is coming from the energy pattern we all carry. And that is what is peculiar, queer, and rare within all of us. So our likes and dislikes, the way we think, the way we act, the way we feel, and finally our illness also is stamped by this peculiarity. And this energy pattern is called an other song. So this is not a human song. If we had that human song, we'll never have this kind of gestures. So this is the flavor which is given by the other song. So now the other song defines our state of being. It defines our perception and response to the world and forms an essential part of an individuality. So this way we experience the world, जैसे as if you're crushing somebody, like, you perceive जब आपको भी कोई hug करेगा, when that lady said कि am I being fake? First she experienced that the world is fake, right? So whatever you see that the world is doing to you, you are also doing it to the world. So it is reciprocal. So whatever you think that the world is doing to you, consciously or subconsciously, even you are giving that energy to the world. So it's about that energy exchange. It is about that energy. It is not being about a predator or a prey. It is about that energy which we are talking, which is just crushing and squeezing till death, right? So this is, we have to follow these gestures, and we have to see this inner song, the inner cone sensation, which is specific to each individual. It matches an element from one of the three kingdoms of the world. In nature, normally we have remedies from 6. We have an imponderable, we have nosodes and sarcodes, but nosodes and sarcodes also ultimately come from animals. So when we go broader, we see that nosodes and sarcodes are ultimately, they have that animal effect within them. So our personalities, our life patterns, underlying factors behind stress, physical problems, symptoms are all expressions of this inner core sensation. This is what we have to allow ourselves to seep in. So we may be given this human life, but inside maybe we are insects. So we have that feeling of smallness. The whole life will be guided to do something big in life, so that we don't remain this small. But this small, being small is an essence. So beyond the walls, beyond the mischievousness, beyond the restlessness, beyond the anger, beyond the like distractions, this experience of being small and compensatory, going into doing something big, is the energy of insecta. So the sensation method has also evolved a systematic approach of understanding homeopathic remedies. It understands the remedy at a much deeper level, not just a random collection of symptoms. Each remedy is understood in totality from the point of view of kingdom, subkingdom, miasm, classifications, and levels of experiences. This enables a systematic, effective diagnosis and the treatment of the inner core sensation within each patient. So now the utilization of traditional homeopathic tools such as Materia Medica and Repertory, these are left brain concepts. I've told you this is the factual Materia Medica, facts are written there, like aggravation from 4 to 8 p.m. We have all kinds of, anger trifles at. So this is the left brain concepts which we used to use. But now with modern homeopathic approaches such as sensation and kingdom approaches, these are right brain concepts, because the patient takes me there. There is no rubric like tighter and tighter and tighter. It's directly the energy pattern which we see in nature. So this is a right brain approach. So when we integrate this right brain and left brain together, we have higher degree of success in our clinical practice. So our clinical practice has gone multifold, the success has gone multifold, and we are able to prescribe with more confidence. Initially, we didn't understand our symptoms. Now we have started understanding our symptoms, and we also understand from where the symptom is coming from. So when utilizing this idea of synergy, now after sensation, we went to the synergy, whatever information we are getting from the left brain, plus from the right brain with this approach of sensation and the facts which we get a system. We get symptom, system, and genius must be included in the prescription, and ultimately each one will reach the same conclusion and the remedy that matches. This is what I'm trying to say is, this is what is synergy. We get sensation, we get kingdom, we get miasm, and we get source. And here we have symptom, which has characteristics, rubrics, keynotes, provings, and toxicology. And we have the genius. And what is this genius? This genius was introduced by Dr. Boger, in synoptic key. It is a thing which runs through and through. Like, for example, if belladonna has redness, what is that thing which we prescribe belladonna on? We say that if this isn't there in belladonna, we can't prescribe, and that is violence. The symptoms will come with violence. The patient has anger with violence. There is violence in the dream. There is violence in the pathology. There is violence in his dreams. There's violence in the movies he sees or he avoids. It can be either. So this violence is the genius of remedy, and the symptoms, we can see all these symptoms we have. And with sensation, what we see is, when we go deeper, it is the Solanaceae family. It is a sudden violent threat. So everything comes together in cases. That is where we see that there is a synergistic approach of left brain and right brain. So sensation is same, but the coping up mechanism differs. This was seen further, that there is one sensation, like for example, in Luganaceae, what we see, there is a common sensation of being shocked. Everything comes as a shock. I was shocked to see this. I was so shocked when I saw my mother doing this. I was so shocked when I found out that my husband was having an extramarital affair. But how you react, whether you go into a shock, whether you come out with acute violence, and whether you react intermittently or you take it to heart and you try to control your symptoms, your anger. So this the way you cope up with this sensation within you, the depth and the desperation differs, and these are what we called as miasms. So coming to a sensation, and then the miasm gives us a remedy when we work with sensation method. But what happens is, in many of the cases, we are not able to see these miasms, but we can see a clear-cut keynote. Sometimes the pathology where it is coming, like if we have barbidiacy, which is, rapid, sudden, rapid changeability. But in that, if we have acne, the clear-cut pathology is acne. So we'll think of Barberis equifolium. And when we have kidney stones, we'll think of Barberis vulgaris. So sometimes when we are not able to clearly define a miasm in the case, we can take that peculiar pathology of the case. If you see changeability, total changeability. I had a case of clinical depression in a student of around 22 years, and he has been suffering from clinical depression since his 10th, class 10th. So I was able to see that barbidiacy changeability in him, but I was not able to understand the miasm. Then what happened is, when I took the case further, I was trying to see where I saw that his body had this tendency of diarrhea since childhood. He said ki my mama says ki in childhood you just passed many stools at a time, and you had this painless profuse diarrhea. So again, this painless profuse diarrhea took me to podophyllum. So I prescribed podophyllum in a case of clinical depression, coming to changeability plus the past history of diarrhea, which is peculiar to podophyllum. So this is how we synergistically use whatever information comes. In not every case, like we have been doing it location, sensation, modality, concomitant, it is not possible that we cover all these 4 charts. Sometimes we get only 2, sometimes we get 3. We don't get a complete symptom. Similarly here, we'll not get complete thing, like you'll not get a clear miasmatic expression. You may get a peculiar location which only that remedy covers. So this is how you have to work on all the cases with whatever information is being surfaced. So this peak of the triangle is genius. Genius here means the prevailing spirit or distinctive character of something, like violence in belladonna. This applies to the patient and also the remedy, as coined by Dr. C.M. Boger. So this is a triangle we try to complete. So this is the integrated, what is synergy? The integrated case taking and analysis, in we see the genius, the generals, the pace of the remedy, the pathology, the type, the modalities, and system, which is sensation kingdom, miasm and level, and the symptoms, characteristic, rubrics, keynotes, provings, and toxicology. So this is a synergistic wave. This is a broader overview of the case which we see, and whatever is very peculiar in the case, this is what I've been showing you in all the webinars. Each case is worked out differently, and we use different tools, and we just go with whatever comes up on the surface. We don't sit and find this case ka meko miasm dhoondna hi, I have to work out with miasm. No, it's not possible. Whatever is coming, whatever peculiarity is there, take it and try to complete this triad, right? So the pattern of symptoms, what was the traditional approach we did? Repertory, Materia Medica, and keynotes. But now we have to go further. We see a vital sensation which is talking the same language in the mind and body. So this is symptom, system, and the genius, and here is the simillimum. So these are the levels which we'll be doing next time. I'll just show you all a short case so that you can understand how we can work with this method. This is an integrated approach. So we'll do a case. So this is a case of hormonal disorder, which I showed yesterday also in other song. We are working on this and how to approach cases of hormonal disorders. So this is a case of PCOD. and she has ovarian cyst, a girl of 21 years. She has menorrhagia. She sometimes even bleeds for more than 1.5 months. She gets very weak. She's been suffering from this since 5 years. She has taken 3 cycles of oral contraceptive pills in consecutive 4 years. Means in 1 year, she has to take 3 cycles to come out of this problem. So it is, her menorrhagia is this bad. So now even her mother said that, she used in this corona period, she says, I just wrapped her in a blanket and I took her to doctors, but nobody was ready to see her. And that's the time when she remembered that, she can approach me. So this was a case of that case, the case of that time. On observation, what we see 21-year-old female. She's very obese. She has double chin. She has huge breast as compared to a 21-year-old female. This can be because of the oral contraceptive pills she has taken. She has very beautiful eyes and she seemed very timid. So this is the on observation. So now she's a student. She likes to study. She is affected because of constant quarrels between her parents. She likes to study. She's affected by constant quarrels between her parents. She feels her mother has suffered a lot. Her father is very short-tempered and misbehaves with the mother. She believes her mother has to suffer because she doesn't have any parental backup. So she said she could not go back to her parents as they were not financially strong. She believes that her mother shouldn't have continued this marriage or shouldn't have listened to what they said. But she did not have the strength to go back to her parents because her grandparents were not that financially strong. So grandmother was suffering from asthma, grandparents were suffering from their own survival issues, and they could not save her mother from marital disharmony. So this is where, since childhood, she started believing that every woman should be financially independent, and that is what made her so studious, and she loves to study. And she is keen on getting a job and going further in a corporate world. She thinks her mother could have lived a better life if she had financial backup. She says, I feel like my mom and I are beneath my father. So there was a gesture, like, this way. She said, I feel very small, that, we are very small. We are not treated the way we should be treated. Our father has that big dominating thing and he treats us not in a way we should not be treated. So she says ki parents should give you support. They should be like home, but I don't feel that way with my father. She also is hit by belt when she revolts. It is as if she has taken the brunt of the marital disharmony of her parents. She always stands up for her mother in front of her father and she gets the backlash. So she fights for her mother and wants to achieve something to give her the respect she deserves. So she says her home should be a place where we get food and home to live. We should get that support. We should have all the basic needs in the home. So what are her fears? As a child in childhood, she used to have this fear of darkness. She says, I used to shiver a lot. In swimming, she says, I used to feel this shivering after coming from the cold water. So she said she has fears she was disgusted by these insects and lizards. Then she says, no, not insects. She says only way to deal with insects is to just shoo them away. Again, there was a gesture, an expression of disgust. So she says the only way you can deal with insects is just shooing them away. So, and she did not go on well with her sister also. That was one of the reasons, again, her father used to hit her more, because she says, I find her very irritating. I just want her to be away from my room. I don't want to have any interaction with her. So again, the gesture was this for her sister. She's very irritating. I just we just fight on small issues. We fight on simple trivial issues also. I want her away from my, like my space. I just want her away. So again, the same gestures were there. So you have to follow these gestures when you come to this. The body is trying to shoo her away, the sister, the way she did for the insects. So this is what the pattern is, shooing them away. So when I asked her, just to talk about insects, so now you have to be very careful when the image comes up in the case of an animal. It is, you don't have to jump into the case. You have to see what energy they are putting in while talking about that particular animal. Like here for lizards, she says, I don't like the skin. It is very yucky. It is very gooey. So she didn't talk much about that, but I asked her to talk about cockroach. She said, it's very disgusting. It's very filthy. It lives in filthy places. Mom and sister are afraid, so I shoo them away. She says, even if we kill it, it lives. Something like, even if it is turns up this way, it still lives. It doesn't give up. So this is what she's talking about. It lives even after it is upside down. I don't like it. It's the nature. I don't like how it's made. So now what we have to see is what quality about the cockroach she's talking, and we have to see, is she resonating with this quality of what she's talking about in a cockroach. So now she also has other fears: to be left alone in friend circles. I put a lot of efforts in relationships. I don't like to deal. Like if she says ki relationships are not like deals, like we have to really have that love in the friendship. I feel betrayed when I have some troubles with my friends. There was some misunderstanding. She says, I was felt, she felt I didn't feel good in that circle. Again, there was these gestures. So on one end, she's telling the story, and one, her body is telling you a pattern of being shooed away. Getting these gestures coming everywhere. So now these are her hobbies: singing, dancing, and sometimes acting. Her favorite movies are, she likes to watch biographies. She doesn't like these horror movies at all. She says, I can't watch horror movies, and she loves to read or watch movies about biographies. She loved this MS Dhoni autobiography. Then you have to ask, you don't have to stop here. This is what you have to learn. When you take a case, when you ask, because if you have to pretend as if you have not seen that movie, and you have to see how she portrays that character in the movie, or how she portrays that situation, what is the energy which is coming up, what are the gestures which are coming up. So you have to pretend as if you know nothing. That is the mantra of being successful with the patients. If you show that you know something, they will close down. And if you show you're empty and you show that you are nothing, ask as less questions as you can. Be with them in a space so that you just create a space when they can talk. So when they know that you know nothing, they'll start talking. So when you ask them movies, don't start talking, us movie mein na aisa bhi tha, he did like that. So never ever do this. Just pretend, even if you have seen that movie 10 times, just pretend. I'm here busy here. I don't get time to watch movies. Can you tell what it was? Obviously, MS Dhoni is about MS Dhoni, but you have to be that stupid, that clear and blank, that you don't know anything about MS Dhoni, who this person was, so that she talks more and more about that person, and she gives you more words, more energy she'll give. So she says his career path was very flaky. He was a ticket collector before, and one day he gave up. She says he was not happy with his ticket collector. He wanted to do something big in his life, and then he gave up that secured job in the railways. You know how it's important in India. We give so much importance to a government job which gives you lifelong security. She says, but even he had the courage to give up that secure job and become a risk taker, and he was very hardworking, he was very courageous, So he took a step which nobody else can do, and he came to a career which he could not, he was not guaranteed a future, and see how where he has come. So what we see here again is her own story, that she wants to go big in life. And here also it's a story about a ticket collector who wanted to do something very big in life. Even her dreams was, she sees, I've seen this dream twice. I'm working in a corporate office. I'm wearing this kind of a short skirt, pencil skirt. It is the way the CEOs dress. So she says, I'm giving commands and I have 4 or 5 subordinates with me. So this is where you can see that a small girl, she wants to go to a story of getting big. So this is the pattern. So there were small observations. She is asking very small questions. She takes long to ask for a follow-up. The way she takes follow-up is also very childish. She will call up my assistant, she'll call up them, then she'll talk to me. She cannot directly talk to me. She cannot take an appointment when, like it becomes a big process. The process of taking a follow-up appointment also, which can always, my patients have access to text me and get an appointment all the time. It's very difficult for her. She gets very angry easily. She clips on very small things. She gets irritable. She has lots of anger suppressed, and she's very responsible, but she doesn't have the power to do anything to execute those responsibilities. These were the observations. So what is the analysis? What's the remedy here? The remedy obviously is it's coming from the animal kingdom because of being this. And this is what the body told. These gestures are coming from the energy pattern. And we are treated like this, my father treats us as if we are below him, as if, so there is a victim and an aggressor here. But her fears are not very conspicuous as we see in childhood. So this is the energy of an invertebrate. When we come to an animal, we have to see whether it's a vertebrate or invertebrate. So this is an invertebrate which has no structure. She is so timid. She doesn't have that grit to be in the world. So these are the qualities of invertebrate which come through. We could see her timidity. We could see her spinelessness. We could see that she's not able to manage trifles. She shivers. She has fear of darkness. She's very indecisive, right? So all this is coming to the energy of invertebrates. Now, which subkingdom? This is an insecta. So what is the theme of insecta? It's of the issues of survival issues. Why she's studying so much, why she's working so hard is because she has to survive, because she feels as her mother was not being supported by her parents, even she is not supported by the father, and she has to survive on her own. So there is restlessness, there's industriousness, there is basic needs, their issues are very trivial, and they cannot see very far. They don't have that bird's eye view about the world. Their vision is very small. Bas khana pina rehna ho jaye. These are the basic needs. There is smallness. The compensatory mechanism is being big, but being big is also because to fulfill their basic needs, right? It's not about the world. It is only about their own survival in the world. They don't have the consciousness to give back to the world. It's the idea of being big is because they want to do, they don't want to feel small, right? So this is a subtle difference which we have to understand. And there is food, sex, and reproduction. Their energy is only on this. So now why this smallness is coming in insecta, we have to understand, the pattern, the match of pattern of the patient and the animal here. So insects cannot grow large because of their trachea. Breathing system has restricted length. So they cannot breathe fully, and that's why they cannot grow. That is one of the reasons. And second, because of this exoskeleton, the weight, there is an exoskeleton, the weight of which restricts their size. We have a vertebral column within our body, and they have the same outside, which restricts their growth. So this is the energy of an insecta, in which they feel that something from outside is not allowing them to grow. They are being this. They are being this. They are bogged down. This is the word which comes. I am bogged down. I am put down by something. So this down feeling is the experience of the exoskeleton. So how we see the energy of the insecta, the energy, the evolutionary significance, the evolutionary thing, it comes and translates into human story. So this is the beauty of sensation method, where we see that, same patterns are there, and human is forced to live a life of something which it is not. So homeopathy helps you to develop your potential and come back to your human form. Because as a human, what is a human supposed to do? A human is always, God has made human to be above the situation. He has given all the potential to human who knows how to, surf through the waves and tides of the life. But are we all able to do that? No. We get stuck at some point of light. And what is that stuck is where our other song lies. So this is how we have to work on the other song. So here the role of the insect in earth is already defined. They are born to be small and they are numerous. So they want to do something so that they are seen. हम लोग कीड़े मकोड़े की जिंदगी जीने नहीं आए हैं. They will always deny this. And the reason they want to get big is because they want that some little identity in this world. कि कोई हमको भी देखे. We are not come. हम लोग कीड़े मकोड़े की जिंदगी नहीं जीने आए हैं यहाँ पे. This is what they say. So when an insect gets too big for its exoskeleton, it sheds it. This is the process of molting, and this is a very painful process. So you'll see this pain in an insecta person. They have this spirit of growing, but they find it so difficult because on one end they are very vulnerable. They don't have that inner grit. On outside there is something stopping from them growing, and they have to break it apart. They have to go through this painful process so that molting is, they're out of this molting and then they are ready. So the remedy which was given here was Blata orientalis. This is a life cycle. So in most of the animal cases, we'll see a process. Patients talk about the process. Like in the reptile, they'll talk about, planning, hibernating, coming back, attacking, and then, taking revenge. So this whole process is being talked of in animal cases. So this is molting and metamorphosis. The quality which this girl was talking, we don't have to go after the image. The images can be deceptive. So if the patient says, I'm scared of cockroach, you don't have to give a cockroach. If the patient says, I'm scared, lizards and cockroach and insects, they are the most common disgustive. Everybody disgusts them. So everybody wants to shoo them. These have the energy. It's the energy of pest. Nobody wants pest around. We pay for getting this pest control. So everybody wants to shoo you out. And that's why they want to show their presence by being something big. So this is a quality of being resilient. So a cockroach is very resilient. It can even bear this radiation. So what are the rubrics here? If we see the synergy, we have seen the pattern of being shooed, of being small, and now the left brain approach, which is Repertory and Materia Medica. What we are seeing is mind, respect, desires. She wants self. She talked about self-respect. She wants about being her mother being respected. So this is respect, desires, and here we have 3 insects, which is Culex pipiens, we have Musca domestica, and also we have this Blata orientalis. So you see how this feeling of insecta, respect is coming in insecta. So mine, ambitious, fame for, we have Blata here, just like Naxvomica and Lycasis, we have Blata. The only difference we'll have to see, this will be a vertebrate and this is a plant. So how it will differ? There is despair for keeping the social position. Mind, despair, social position of. Mind, concentration difficult. This is the energy of a insect. They are always around. They are constantly doing something. They are constantly restless. In this the patient is constantly industrious and she's studying. So this confusion of mind, concentration, and attempting. So this is what came after in the follow-up. Now I'm able to concentrate. So in most of the ADHD cases or ADD cases, you will see this lack of concentration. This is what they dream of, walking on the red carpet, that the whole red carpet, and everybody's waiting to applaud them. They are being treated like celebrities. So this is what they want to. They don't want to be shooed away. This is the opposite of what life they are living. So don't get carried away by this. This is coming from the smallness. So this is, we'll see a small video of how we see the patterns.
Conquering demons is what I do.
As the fight begins. You might not want to think about this, but over 3,500 species of cockroaches live on this planet. The good news? Only about 30 of those species have adapted to live around humans. The bad news? 30 species of cockroaches can live around us. Roaches are one of the most common pests in the US, so it's no surprise that humans are always trying to kill them. But no matter how many times we stomp them, squash them, and bomb them with toxic chemicals, these pesky pests always seem to pop up time and time again. So what's going on? Let's take a closer look at the roach you probably know better than you'd like. Periplaneta americana, aka the American cockroach. But this name is misleading. This guy's actually from Africa, not America. It made its way to the US by infesting boats in the 16th century, and it's been spreading to almost every corner in the world ever since. Turns out it's one of the largest species of cockroach around. But that's not the only big thing about it. New research has revealed that it has a massive genome, one of the largest of any studied insect. And many of these genes are exactly what make this roach a master survivor. Let's start with the genes associated with something called chemoreception. That's how roaches smell and taste their environment. Turns out they're actually way better at sniffing out and eating food than most other insects. The American roach has 154 olfactory receptors for smell and 544 gustatory receptors for taste, more than any other insect on the planet. As a result, these cockroaches are not picky eaters. Sure, they like cheese, meat, and sugar like the rest of us, but they'll also go for things like cardboard, book bindings, human toenails, rotting meat, blood, excrement, and even each other. That's right. These roaches have been known to eat other dead or crippled cockroaches, all in the name of survival. It sounds gross, but this diverse diet makes it easy to find a meal just about anywhere, even if it's poisonous to most animals. This roach has a bunch of genes called cytochrome P450s, which help it withstand poisonous chemicals like peppermint. These genes code for detoxification enzymes, which keep the insects safe. On top of that, this roach has a super strong immune system that seeks out and kills harmful microbes and fungi, making the most unsanitary environment look like a 5-star hotel to the American cockroach. Not gross enough yet? Well, consider this. Cockroaches can live nearly a week without their heads. Yeah, that's not a myth. They don't have a highly pressurized network of blood vessels like humans, so they don't bleed out. Instead, their necks actually seal off the opening. They can't regenerate a whole head, but roaches do have an impressive set of regenerative superpowers. For up to the first 2 years of its life, the American roach goes through a series of regenerative molts as it matures into an adult. During a single molt stage, it can replace lost limbs. And over a series of molts, It can regrow antennae and even its eyes. Roaches may be hard to kill, but there's an easy way to keep them clear of your kitchen. Cleanliness. A roach won't just survive in unsanitary conditions, it actually enjoys it. Its heightened senses mean it actually relishes rotting food. So, store food in airtight containers, cover trash bins, and keep your basement dry. It might also be smart to plug holes in your walls, unused electrical outlets, and especially drains, since, get this, roaches can use your plumbing to climb up from sewers into your bathroom sink. It might not eliminate the risk entirely, but it can't hurt, and it will certainly make you feel better. However, we can't promise it will keep them out of your nightmares.
Every time you call me.
Right, so what we saw was the pattern of resilience. Now you will not get this in any rubric. You have to understand that this is coming from the source, and our repertories are not based on these things, like, it's not based on the deeper provings. We used to prove till the level of symptoms and maximum till delusions. Maybe in coming time we can make a repertory based on sensation. So now what we see, the quality here is resilience, and we see our little child being that resilient against her father, and she has taken the brunt of giving that respect to her mother, which is her own inner thing which she's projecting. So the case is so simple. When we see things from, the only central rubric is respect desires, and from where it is coming, it's coming from the source, because nobody ever loves a pest. You just want to shoo them off, and they want to be included. And that's why we saw the picture where she wanted to be with her friends, because she doesn't like to be shooed away based on small misunderstanding. So she wants to be included, she wants to be given that respect, and that is her fight for survival. So this is how we see a case from sensation method, matching the patterns and seeing the energy, what the body is trying to convey you. This is something coming from deeper. This shooing away is coming from deeper, and your body is talking this. So just take care, see these cases from this aspect. It will bring everything together, the need for respect and why there is a problem with concentration, and everything comes together. So thank you so much for being with me. Any questions? Any questions? We can, if everything is clear, we'll go further and we'll wait for the next lecture. You can read all this from Sensation book by Dr. Sankaran, and also Sensation Refined. So this course, today's was lecture 1. We have a series of lectures, which we have 14 lectures. This is evolved level 1. Obviously, we'll need more levels. So this is the first basic introductory thing. Today's was lecture 1, the sensation. Next time, we'll be doing the levels of healing and how it relates to the potencies. It becomes very easy when you understand where you are in the case, what is the level of the case, what is the level of experience, then you are able to go further. So this is next lecture will be on levels and healing and potencies. Also, I'll remind you of upcoming webinar, which we will be on next Wednesday. And that will be the 18th webinar of our series, Basics of Homeopathy. It will be on 15th September, 3 o'clock. Right. So thank you from our team at Anahat Healing Foundation. I'll just see if you have any questions. What to ask to get the sensation? Common sensation of insects is being small, right? And what to ask to get the sensation? We'll be doing the case taking part. And in each, while saying the case, while taking the case today also, I told you where to go and not to go. So I'll be giving you tips, and the last lecture will be on case taking. And also there is a handbook of sensation method. I'll send the pic of that. In that, the chart, the flow chart of case taking is also given. So thank you everyone for joining up. We'll meet again after 15 days. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.